From Dingwall down to Hampton Road, every ground's got tales untold. We can talk in Monday calls. 90 plus says it all. 90 plus, we're calling it straight. Every match, every talking debate, from the stands to the final whistle. This is football, pure and simple.
Welcome to the 90 Plus podcast. I'm here with
John.
Here with
Jordan.
Hi, John and Jordan. I just really wanted to this is episode 4 of the 90 Plus podcast. But first off, before we go into anything, I just want to do a few shout outs of the people that I met over in America. Also, a big shout out to the guys that I coached with in Harmony Row, Dave, Aidan, and also Russell. We had a great time in Boston for the first week. Also, we met some great people in Boston like Kevin and Mandy Tupper. They were absolutely brilliant Canadians. Hopefully you go far. You're into the last 16. I really hope you do extremely well with relation to that. Also, when we went to Miami, we bumped into a guy who I can't thank enough. He gave me a free ticket for the baseball game. Andrew, his mum and Paps. It seems like the mum loved my laugh. I don't know why, but I think I've got a unique laugh. But it seems like the Americans love that. But I don't know why. But anyway, big shout out to Andrew. He took us around Miami as well. Also, Ramsey, great guy for Waymes Bay, looked after Liam as well. Got him a free ticket for the baseball game as well. Big shout out to Ramsey. We obviously had another wee night later on in the holiday. Also, Liam, another Liam who is from Edinburgh. He also came in to march with me. We got absolutely pissed as a fart. It was good times. And I'll probably forget people, to be honest with you. So many people I loved and met. Also, the card registry. Please do give this guy a follow on YouTube. This guy follows baseball. He's very knowledgeable. He helped me and Liam, the knowledge of it, especially Liam, when obviously he went on his channel. But big shout out to the card registry. Hopefully, guys, if you want to follow this guy, please do. He gave us a big shout out in his kind of podcast. So I just really wanted to give him the same kind of privileges. So guys, I want to bring you in. Sum up Scotland's campaign.
Disappointing. I thought there was a lot of hype going into it. I think a lot of expectation from the Scotland fans, considering how well we played over the qualifiers, particularly towards the end of qualifying. I thought the game against Denmark, everyone was sort of expecting that kind of level of performance. And then I think the Haiti game started well, and then it just fluttered away a wee bit, and gradually over the course of the other two games that we had, just it didn't live up to what was expected, I think.
But what about yourself, John?
Well, again, as Jordan said, you've seen even the friendlies before. Played really well, scoring a lot of goals, and then, as said, the Haiti game, very poor in the second half. First half, should have scored 2 or 3. Then Morocco comes, easy goal in the first couple of minutes, and then
I think it was about 30 seconds, to be honest.
Just all falls downhill from there.
But are we actually expecting Scotland to do as well as we thought here? Because the thing is, we're playing 2 top 10 sides in the world.
Yeah, that was one of the points I think it was made on one of the news outlets at the time. We were all the groups we had, statistically based on team ranking, we had the hardest group of everyone because we had 2 sides within the top 10 world rankings. So maybe we are being a bit hard on ourselves, but I think based on how we performed, particularly I thought second half against Morocco we were okay. It was better than the first half, and I think had we done more to kill Haiti off, we maybe would still be in the tournament.
Yourself, John? Sorry, on you go.
That's agreed. I agree with that 100%. Morocco game, we don't concede that goal early. You're talking defensively, probably the best I've seen all tournament from us.
Mm-hmm.
Then second half, we bring on Doak, we bring on a bit of that energy, and we get forward. But as you said, you're talking to top 10 teams in the world, probably. Morocco up there after the last World Cup, getting to the semi-finals, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yep, is it?
You
Yep.
can't you can't fault them. They're probably one of the best. You've got a really good young team as well.
And people talk about Brazil being not the Brazil of the past. It's still Brazil at the end of the day. They still have world-class players within that team. Same for Morocco. A lot of their players play in the top 5 leagues in Europe at the moment. Ashraf Hakimi just won the Champions League like last year. So
Marquinhos as well, didn't he, as a centre-half?
yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It was very, very difficult. But the kind of negative side is, do we think Steve Clarke was too negative?
Yes, I think we talked about it there a couple of minutes ago, but attacking wise, from what we saw in the qualifiers, we didn't have an attack. I don't know whether he changed it. He seemed to be, I think, against Haiti and Morocco, he seemed to play McTominay a lot deeper than he did in qualifiers. I think if you watched, particularly in the Denmark game, and even the games against Spain in the qualifiers before, he played a lot more higher up and he was getting a lot more service. I think Gannon Doak was our best player over the course of the tournament, but I
think it was Lewis Ferguson for me personally. I think he actually had a wonderful.
I think Ferguson was good. I think in terms of going forward though,
I get what you mean.
Brought flair that nobody else in the team had over the course.
He's
of
a
the
bit more direct than anything we've got, really. But when you've got 3 Brazilians around here, we've got no chance, John.
I mean, you see it. First 2 games, 4-4-2, going for it. Last game, you don't want to get humped. You don't want to. You want it to be 1-2 now, maybe even a draw. And he goes, "Let's go to the 5 at the back again." And you've seen it, and it was a bit like, why are we going negative again? You've seen we only conceded the 1, and then we go negative again. You've got everyone flailing for the ball. Everyone's making silly mistakes. When you mentioned Ferguson again, I think he was a standout in the tournament for us. Obviously, Doak attacking wise, but I've just been all round. Ferguson he was everywhere. You needed him to be. A couple of mistakes, but you can say that for everyone in the park.
As much as I think after Germany, I think a lot of people wanted Steve Clarke sacked, but obviously he kept his job. So just to reflect on his tenure, really, obviously we all know about the 4-year deal before the tournament. I think I've got my own kind of observation on that. I think it was ridiculous before the tournament, but let's look at the positive in Clarke. Do you think he's the greatest Scottish manager ever, John?
No.
Who's better?
I mean,
he got us to 3 tournaments.
He did get us to 3 tournaments, but in terms of if you're looking for a manager that was there, that played as well, this could be a bit of bias. Here.
Here we go.
Nothing less.
Here we go.
I'd say like a Jock Stein, who obviously
fair play.
After
were you born?
I wasn't born, but I know my history. So I just think Jock Stein, obviously, you look at like what he'd done club level.
But we're talking about Scotland national team.
Like you could compare Steve Clarke's tenure as Scotland manager to his time at club level.
Yeah, we're talking about the national team.
The success he got with Kilmarnock is different to what he had with Scotland.
Yeah.
His argument for best Scotland manager ever, but the flip side of that would be, got us to 3 major tournaments, but at those tournaments we played poor, very poor.
Do you know? I kind of sorry, John. I reflected on. I think he's good at the qualifier side of things, because you're not got that pressure where you need to win one, you need to draw one, you need to start the tournament really fast. So he's got the qualifiers. Obviously, it was a quick campaign, the last one. Obviously, if you get 8-9 games, you get a chance to kind of build up, your kind of results. But you need to start well in a tournament. Yeah. And I know what you're saying. Did anyone expect us to win 4-0 against Haiti? Come on, I thought they were the better team. Yeah. Personally,
I thought that. I mean, I can't speak for the majority of Scotland fans, but I personally thought we had potential, looking at it on paper, to go into that Haiti game, win 2 or 3-0, and go, okay, even if we don't win the other 2 and we lose to Morocco and Brazil, a 3-0 win in game 1 might be enough because of that new format.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think in the second game, John, I think McGinn's a penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say. But at the same time, I think there's an argument about the McTominay one.
I don't think that is.
Kicking the thing, as people have said though. I've heard a lot of people on Twitter after the penalty, the goal was disallowed, the Dessels rule, as they call it, the kicking the back of the leg.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like I think the argument's obviously because we got away with one with Brazil with that one, but so kind of reflecting on. Obviously, we just seen. I've said in a previous video I wanted Anjan as next Scotland manager, but he's just been announced as
the Al Nassr manager. It was announced about 45 minutes.
45 minutes ago. So obviously that's ruled out. So Jordan, who do you want to see as the next Scotland manager? Does it matter if it's like a Scottish manager? Can we go abroad?
I mean, you look at all of these teams. I'm going to use the World Cup as an example. All the teams that go far in these tournaments. They've all had managers from their own nation. If you look at, they showed a statistic during the group stages of the World Cup that no foreign manager has ever won the World Cup with a country different to his own. So for me, it's difficult because I don't really think there is any Scotland managers out there that would maybe
Moyes was number one, wasn't it?
That was going to be
Moyes.
Moyes. You've seen in my head here, that's in terms of Everton last season, a team that for the last couple before that one, it was struggle. David Moyes has grabbed them, pushed them right back up. Competing again.
I do think had I'll probably touch on this later, but I know that had Derek McInnes not been announced as the Rangers manager, he would probably be one of the front runners for the job.
So, yeah,
and absolutely. I think had he not been taken over at Rangers, then he would probably be everyone's go-to guy for it.
But the thing is, obviously, the money that Moyes is on in England, and that's the thing is with Ange. Ange was been on mega wages where he was. So we would have to break the bank. With Scotland, SFA are not going to do that.
No.
So Moyes, I think, it's not going to happen. But here's one for you, John McGlynn for Falkirk. What do you think of him?
I mean, what he did with Falkirk is impressive, but it comes back to the discussion we had earlier where international football is totally different to club football. It's good getting those performances at club level from a team like Falkirk, but
it's a big,
on a big stage, going from a team like Falkirk, who, credit to him, he has done really well. They performed really well in the Premiership last year, but I think a lot of Scotland fans would maybe be disappointed and underwhelmed if someone like him would get the job purely because at the end of the day, no shade to Falkirk, but it's only Falkirk at the end of the day.
Fair enough. So, one name.
I've got one of the arguments for you, someone who's in the Scotland system, who already knows the players inside and out that have been called up in these tournaments, the qualifiers, Stephen Naismith. He's been a manager before at club levels.
What about Gemo as well? Gemo at the Yonder, so he's an option, isn't he?
He's an option. There was one, I can't remember the name of the one that was going around, who I think was possibly one of the assistants at Scotland.
Right, I can't remember.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Top of my head, but there's a lot of them about why don't we go for him?
But you talk about McGlynn being under him. I think Naismith would be.
I think Naismith would be as well. I have to agree. Yeah.
I think that would be a terrible point.
One of the names thrown out when Steve Clarke first left was Neil Lennon. And
as
much as he's not Scottish, I think it's a very good shout.
Do you know what? He's done very well. As much as like the Rangers fans being you, I think he would be a shout.
I think he's got. If you look at it, I know we kind of make the contrast between club level and international level, but if you look at
he's proven it.
The way he played at Celtic and the success he had with Celtic, I think
what season had Dunfermline as well. Last season,
yeah, even with Dunfermline,
getting to a cup final.
Yeah, it's something that, and they didn't even play particularly poorly in that cup final.
Nope.
So I think Neil Lennon would be. I know a lot of Rangers fans, particularly, would be unhappy with that due to his ties with Celtic, but.
Is there many Rangers fans who follow Scotland?
Yeah,
I didn't meet many in USL, tell you that.
From a neutral perspective, I think Neil Lennon would be a very strong opponent for Scotland.
So you think Naismith? Is that your final answer?
To be fair, I think you've done that. But no, yeah, as you said, like Neil Lennon, like he's been in and about Scotland. He knows the country. We know players that he's played against. Like you take, as you said, Dunfermline, like
even players that he's played with as well.
Exactly. Like there's some of them. There'll be a heavy link to Scotland because he's been there most of his career. If you think about it,
yep.
Celtic, Hibs, Dunfermline now, and as you said, cup final with Dunfermline side, you'd expect that, as it always is every year, to be a Celtic Rangers final or a Celtic Rangers semi-final.
No, always.
It's nice to have a bit of change now and then.
Oh, absolutely. Not too much.
Not too much change, but every day odd year we allow other teams to do well,
So Move it. So obviously we've discussed that. So what do you think of the World Cup so far? What team and what players stood out for you, John, so far?
The main ones, Elise for France.
Absolutely brilliant.
He's just been
Most English Frenchman you'll ever meet.
the most English Frenchman ever. But, he's just been a standout. Him and Mbappe just tearing through teams at this point now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One team that I don't see being spoke about enough is Mexico. They've got to where they are now. They at the Azteca against England next game. No bias, but let's go Mexico.
Don't worry. Sorry, English fans, if you're watching.
Sorry. But no, we hope.
But I hope you get fucked.
Absolutely no chance.
Yeah, that's all. But the Azteca, their next game, they not conceded a goal, I believe.
They haven't. But do you feel the altitude actually gives them a helping hand against England on Monday or Sunday? Well, Monday night. Yeah.
It definitely could. Yeah. I mean, players are used to it. I'm pretty sure they're unbeaten. And
they've got. I think it's 85 wins out of 87 in the last 56 years.
I think they've only been beat. But on the flip side, they listen to English media, Jamie O'Hara and Cundy. But but they actually said that they played nobody, and that's disrespectful to the Mexicans.
They talk about they've played Panama a lot, but they've also played Spain and Portugal and all that.
Yeah, they played Scotland, I believe, as well. There,
they've played us as well. So it's not like they're a poor side, and I think it's typical English bias.
Yep.
That they sorry again to all the English fans watching, but they.
Don't worry, it's a Scottish podcast.
They build themselves up to be stronger than what they actually are. I mean, I don't know if you've watched the England game, the most recent England game.
I did, yep. Congo.
Against Congo, yeah. Dr. Congo, everyone's favourite. Everyone's favourite.
Drink.
Minnow. I thought that Congo were very unlucky not to win.
If Risa scores that goal, it hits the post, I think it's a totally different game. But you know what? They're moaning about the hydration break, right? That benefited England, I thought.
Yeah, I think England played better after the hydration break. And
yeah,
I mean, fair play to Thomas Tuchel when he made the change. He brought on Anthony Gordon. It seemed to give England a kind of killer edge that they'd been missing for the first 65 minutes of the game or whatever it was when he came on. And ultimately, it won them the game because he got assists for both goals.
I think the smart choice in that change was the Jed Spence move.
Aye.
Took him off.
Good one.
Put Rice
to
right back.
Yeah, that was a great move.
I think it was Topanga who was just causing absolute chaos down that left wing. As you see, they've got the first goal, which, in my argument, there is a possibility Pickford should save that.
Pickford should 100% save that.
Near post, as a goalkeeper, I've done goalkeeping coaching.
Pickford should 100% save that.
Yeah.
Any goalkeeper from any level will tell you that he should have saved that.
As 100%. Touched upon, the Wissa chance that again comes through, just a bit of trickery down the wings, and then I think he's connected with it wrong, and I think England at that point were like, right, we've got away with one there. And then that's when the hydration break comes, and as you said, hydration breaks. They've definitely won from that hydration break in my eyes.
And what about you, Jordan? What team and what player or players have stood out in this World Cup?
If we're talking, I kind of agree with John. I think France have been they're the team to watch. I think they're the team that you think they're going to win that. Yeah. But in terms of underdog teams, I think Cape Verde have been. Do
you think they could actually upset?
I think
because they play tonight.
Every chance. Yeah, I think
tonight 11.
Yeah, I think there's every chance that they could upset Argentina.
Hold on, that goalkeeper went from shitty followers to about nearly 20 million followers in one match.
Yeah, from his performance in the very first game, he gained 40 million followers overnight.
Wow,
overnight, which is insane. So I think for me, in terms of the underdog story,
Cape Verde
are the team that everyone should be following and looking up to. In terms
we all like our underdog
story. In terms of favourites and quality football, has to be France.
Absolutely. And what player?
Well, it's easy to pick someone that's scoring well, but I think the Cape Verde goalkeeper.
There you go.
If you think about it, Cape Verde had 3 draws, 3-0 draws, didn't concede a goal. The guy made an insane amount of saves against Spain, and he got them the point. He is the reason that they made it that far. So for me, he's been the standout player.
But it's a tournament where the kind of your big guns have stuck out, like your Mbappes, your Haalands, your Kanes, Messi. Mm-hmm. They're all up there with the top goal scorers. So one final question before we take a quick break: Who's going to finish in the Golden Boot?
it's hard to see past Mbappe, but
You think so?
there's a part I would say between Mbappe and Messi maybe.
Yeah,
Because
cool.
Messi just looks like 39 years. And he's
Unbelievable.
It just doesn't look like he's 39. He's still playing like he's 28 in his
Yeah.
prime.
Brilliant. And what about you?
I think it depends how far Argentina go, but I'm inclined to agree with John and say Mbappe.
I think Mbappe as well. So there's a hat trick. Right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. Welcome back to the second part of the 90 Plus podcast. I'm here with John and Jordan. So I really want to kind of touch on the kind of signing so far that Rangers have done, especially me and you, Jordan, with us being Rangers fans. Okay, so 5 summer signings have come in at Rangers so far. We've got Shankland, Panda, McCrory, Neil, and Godfrey. What do you think of the signings so far?
I think it's a statement of intent from the new manager and from the board. I think they're quality signings. I think they're signings that we've been crying out for, particularly Shankland. He's always been a player that's been linked with Rangers for many, many years, across many, many managers. So I think as much as it's a good signing, some people might think it's maybe a couple of years too late.
I said that.
But I still think overall the signings show strength and they show the direction in which the board and the manager want to go for this season.
Absolutely. From a Celtic point of view, is that fearful signings, do you feel?
Couple of them maybe. Obviously you've got the ones that know the club. McCrory, who was there before, Shankland, lifelong Rangers fan, probably arguably a little bit of striker in the country. Panda, I couldn't say I've seen enough of him. Godfrey, again, has prevailed in the Premier League. He's got that experience.
On loan to Atlanta last season.
And then you've got the point of that replacing Butland kind of, and for me as a Celtic fan, I do think that was needed for Rangers. Butland, a lot of mistakes last season.
Agree.
Vital mistakes. I mean, you've seen when we had Wilfred Nancy, the collapse, and then everyone thought, Rangers, Danny Rowe, they're going to come back, they'll do it. And then you've seen the last 4 games, the last 4 or 5 games, the collapse started to happen. A lot of mistakes from the keeper, and it's.
I think that can't just be pinned on Butland though, because that's been a problem and a fixture of the Rangers team for many years. We get to a position of you think, okay, come the end of the season, there's potential for Rangers to win the league here, and then every year it happens just before the split. They start making mistakes. Bottle goes. It's just a team full of serial losers, and it has been for many years.
But the problem wasn't we scored a lot of goals last season. We were the top goal scorers.
He only scored 1 less goal than Shankland last season.
And that's the thing, is the problem is the end. We had a lot of loanee signings at Ibrox. It was, I mean, the debate goes on with Tavernier last season. I don't care what you say, the way he was treated that last game was appalling for me. But the problem I have is, like, we were leaking a lot of goals, and that's the problem. We didn't have a problem scoring goals last season. And Shankland will get you 20 plus goals, there's no doubt about it. He's obviously been the captain of Hearts. He knows what it's about. It's a leader.
Yeah.
He's a leader.
Yep.
And I think Dan Neil, I believe it was the Sunderland captain as well.
It was.
So that's the thing, is McInnes is bringing leaders. And that's the thing that I think we've been lacking a lot of as leaders. And I think that's where I think McInnes has looked at it and kind of thought, this is exactly what we've needed.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot more to come. So just to touch on then, where else would you like to see Rangers strengthen for the remainder of to the end of August?
Well,
we're into September, isn't it?
Well, I think it's difficult because, like you said, defensively was always the issue. But I think with John Souttar, I thought it was criminal he didn't get any game time for Scotland for the World Cup. I think he's one of the best defenders in the league. But with signing Godfrey, you think your 2 centre backs are going to be Fernandes and Godfrey for next season. They're going to be your 2 starters. It's whether they can get. Obviously, you got Romans as you're going to be probably your main left back, and then you've got McCrory on the right. It's whether they suit the style that McInnes is going to come in and play. Obviously, we kind of saw how he played with Hearts last year. Obviously, Hearts were an hour away from winning the league.
Well, it was actually literally 10.
Yeah.
It was under 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, like,
Under an hour.
I think it shows that if he can get the defensive side of it stronger, I think that's probably still our weakest area. Although we have strengthened, I think it is still a weak area for us. It's definitely an area that we need more depth in for me. And I think maybe, I know there's been talk about Lewis Ferguson coming in.
I feel.
But I think
if Raskin goes.
I think with Raskin attracting interest, and Bologna, who Ferguson currently plays for, is their captain. They're one of the teams interested in Raskin.
Yeah.
So I think if Raskin was to go, Ferguson would be a good shout to replace him. In terms of strengthening generally, I think could maybe need. I think trying to get Mikey Moore in on loan again would be a good shout.
Absolutely.
I think the wingers have always been a bit of an iffy position as well for Rangers in recent seasons, because we've been signing players in on loan and then they do well for, say, half a season and then they fall off. Scott Olsen's a prime example of that. He came in January, had about 3 good games and then disappeared off the face of the earth. Mikey Moore and probably Václav Černý are the only two that Rangers have had in the last couple of years that you think they were consistent enough that if we signed them, they'd do a job for us every single week.
Yeah. Obviously, that's Rangers side of things. So looking on to Celtic, John, you're bringing a set piece coach. Now, this guy came from Hearts. I looked at the stats yesterday. Hearts were the top performing side when it came to corner kicks, free kicks, set pieces. Well, I'll give this question to you afterwards. How important do you feel a set piece coach? Do you think that's the way forward for clubs?
So, funnily enough, you mentioned that obviously Jordan was talking about goal Shanklin scored, and a lot of them came from very good set pieces for Hearts, and that was kind of the way they were playing. Getting a corner, you had Finlay at the back that would always make sure they were always wanting the ball first. You see, a prime example I saw was the last game of the season. You had 2 people running off to make sure that Shanklin had that space, and it was worrying signs for me anyway. For that, I was at the game. Yeah, it was very worrying. But you're talking, I've said it for years, we've never been good at set pieces. When we score a corner, I feel like I've never seen us score a corner in my life. But set pieces is a big game that we've worked on, but at the same time you need the set piece takers as well as people who can score.
So do you think, looking into this season then, do you expect this will work at Celtic?
We need a lot more than a set piece coach. We need a lot more than that. But as I said, you see around us, Hearts have made like 10 something signings, Rangers have made 5, and we've signed a set piece coach. Like that's where we're at this point.
Yeah.
Like
the only team in Scotland that's not signed anyone.
As of this morning.
Well, as of this morning.
Motherwell made their first signing this morning, which means Celtic are now the only team yet to sign anyone.
Well, I did see they brought in a Celtic B team, but I don't count that.
No,
they did sign someone yesterday, I think, or today. But a B team player for the future. Why do you think there's lack of signings at Celtic? What is the problem?
So I said that maybe middle of last season. I'm not going to go on about the board because I could be here for a while. For a while.
But, some board
no, we don't want some board hate now. We'll keep the board hate to the minimum. But what I think is,
you never know. They might be watching this. I don't know.
Let
them know who you want to say.
They wouldn't like the things I like to say. So, and it's probably not that PG. And so,
as long as it's like
but it would definitely be massive. So we've won the league last 5 seasons, I believe now, and you're sitting there, and the board are probably sitting there going, "We've got the players, we've scored the goals, we've won the games," but the way that they should have looked at last season, and I think there's still time, and Martin O'Neill,
of course,
will probably look at it and go, I want a good amount of players in, because you're looking at the squad. You've got Engels that will probably be away, Hatate, Maeda. There's a lot of players that are going to be. Johnson, he'll be having a good World Cup.
It's going to be a big.
You look at the players that have already left, like Shanklin, Schmeichel, Iheanacho, all these guys that were out of contract or they were on loan or whatever, and they've already gone.
That was another thing, just loan signings. That's all it's been. Is we'll sign somebody on loan, like we've been linked to the Carabag striker.
That's right. Yep.
I think we've got a bid not back
for $2 million. I think they're looking for 2.5, which is typical Celtic. I think the Celtic board were
2 million and a pack of bananas.
0.5 and you get them. And yet the guy scored what, 5 goals in Champions League last season,
15 goals for 10 assists.
10 assists, very impressive. But you need more in a striker. Where would you like to see Celtic strengthen this summer?
There's a lot. I could again.
Every position, or
I would argue
there's the ones that are settled.
There's ones that are settled. I would, if I was the boat. I mean, I seen we were offered Sriracha for 1.2 million. He was a great player. He was a great player for us. And that would be your left back sorted. Right back, again, we probably need to sign one because I don't think Ralston's suited for it. And then I've seen a lot of people arguing about the goalkeeper situation, but I feel like Sinisalo's not been given enough.
I think Sinisalo was a better goalkeeper than Schmeichel for Celtic last season.
Yep, but Schmeichel obviously had that injury as well.
But it's also not just last season though. You also had the season before, the cup final with Aberdeen, and it was Schmeichel was injured for the whole majority of the lead up, and then he was fine for the cup final. Got flung in, made the mistake, lost the final. It's one of them where I'd love to see majority of players come in. Will that happen? Probably on the last day of the transfer window with like 4 loan signings, and then a couple of days after with somebody who's out of contract and not played for a club for about a year and a half. But I don't know. I think the main one is a striker. I like the wingers we've got. I like Yang. I feel he's electric, but we're needing defensive reinforcement, I believe, for this season coming up.
Fair enough. So obviously, how many do you think that Celtic needs in overall? How many would you like to see?
So here's the problem. I wouldn't say winger if we had Jota. Obviously, we were told Jota would come back in January, and then we got told might be a mid-March, and then we've been told he might not be back until the end of the year. So if I'm talking signings, we need about 9 or 10 signings, I believe. Just to get the thing.
Do you think Maeda will still be a Celtic player come the end of the window?
No. He's proved his class. I was one of his critics midway through the season. I just felt like he wasn't putting in enough. But at the same time, after we see what has happened, and then we find out there was a bid from Augsburg, I believe, and that was turned down. He wasn't very happy. But at the same time, I understand why Martin O'Neill done that, because he's like, don't have time to get another player in. Same with Engels. You've seen the 25 million, 30 million. People say that's outrageous, but he was a key part when he came back, and that's why we clawed back. Same as Maeda. I think the most goals in the split since its existence.
Where was that at the start? Just before I pass the question on, Jordan, where was that at the start of the season? Why did it take so long for me to get his finger at his arse?
He wasn't being utilised, I believe.
Okay.
You seen it under Ange when he was there. He was that tricky. It was just that player that would run at you. Main one that people say is in the Derby games, Tavernier on that left wing.
If you say Glasgow Derby, I'll punch you.
Do you think Maeda's better suited through the middle or on the left?
I believe he can play on the left better than up front, because
I think so.
He's one of them that can cause the trouble to the right back, or even 8 points left back. I mean, I've seen him playing at right wing back at a point.
I think that's where Celtic have strengths as their wingers, because Yang and Maeda are 2 of the fastest players in that league.
Yeah.
There is, on their day, nobody can get anywhere near them. You see it all the time in the Old Firm games, where Tavernier is nowhere to be found. He was nowhere to be seen when Maeda and Yang, even Jota when he was fit, during his first spell, could get nowhere near him. And I think, like you said, I think he was being played in the wrong position in the first half of the season. It wasn't being used to his strengths.
Okay, so just to pass on the kind of message to you, how do you think like a set piece coach is something that should be introduced more across clubs?
Well, I think a prime example of that would be the set piece coach that Rangers had last season, Scott Fry.
Rangers and Hearts were only ones.
Rangers and Hearts
were the only ones.
Were the only ones that had proper specific set piece coaches, and you saw it. Set pieces was always something that the Rangers fans thought we struggled with. We were absolutely rank rotten at set pieces, and last season we got incredible success from them. It was a totally opposite for what we had been getting the last 2 or 3 years. So I think if everyone was to get on board with that, we would certainly see a lot more goals from set plays. And it would maybe make for more interesting games, certainly more high scoring games, I think, definitely. Because a last minute corner could be the difference between 1 point and 3 and
100%.
no points and 1. So I think it would be beneficial. I know obviously some teams maybe prefer not to go down that route, but
I suppose it's going to cost again an extra wage that some of the lower teams might struggle to budget for.
Yeah, I was just going to jump onto that. I think it's particularly those who maybe like have just came up or those who are down the tail end of it. Maybe more so the top 6 teams, you would think, the ones that, you know, kind of finish in the European spots or they go further in the cup and they may not manage to get Europe through the cup. They'll maybe use that European money to go towards that. But I think certainly if the team is financially capable of doing it, then I think it would do more good than it would harm to have a set piece coach. I think it would be beneficial.
So I'm going to ask both of you a question. I think I know the answer. Being opposite ends. Who do we think is going to win the SPL at this stage? 5 signings for Rangers, none for Celtic at the moment. Many outs for Celtic. Are you still confident that Celtic are going to win the league?
No. For the first time in a while now. I need to see improvement.
Okay.
I need to see improvement in signings wise, or Rangers, or I can't even bet out Hearts. Might just run away with it.
So you think that Celtic will do what we done this season, a third, unless they improve?
Unless we improve, yes.
And you've obviously got the Champions League qualifier coming up very, very soon. You must be worried.
Yeah.
Another carrot. Sorry.
Aye, that'd be nice. Quite nice. Go to Kazakhstan again. Yeah, an absolute humping.
You've actually got a chance to meet them again, I believe.
Oh God, here we go. Here we go again then. No, right now, we're not even Europa League standard, I don't think, but Martin O'Neill for some reason can get something out of the players on their nights, so hopefully we can do something, but I doubt it.
And I think I know the answer to you. And we win the league.
I'd like to think so, based on the signings we've made.
We see this every year, though, don't we?
Including the manager this time. But I think since Steven Gerrard left, this is the most confident I've ever been going into a league season. And I know we've still got 3-4 weeks left of like 6 or 7 weeks left actually of the transfer window.
Yeah.
I think there's still opportunity to strengthen what we already have, and the fact that I know it happens every year, but Celtic are once again falling behind in recruitment, and even though they're getting the job done, it seems as though this year Rangers and Hearts they seem to be getting the players in early that they want, getting players up to speed, changing the system, changing the tactics, both of teams having new managers. So I think with that, playing into getting more leaders in the Rangers team, I think this is the most confident I've felt since Steven Gerrard was the manager.
See, that's a good one. I like that, right, because you mentioned leaders, but you mentioned earlier on, you have got losers mentality. Do you think the signings that you've made so far have got a winning mentality? You can, as you said, you had Romans, you had Emmanuel Fernandez that were in the squad last season. As you mentioned, Tavernier. Who's going to be in that team now that's going to change the mentality of the players?
For me, I think you don't need to really look any further than the manager that they've brought in. I think you saw the passion and that Derek McInnes had at Hearts last year, how driven he was to get Hearts over the line and break the divide between Rangers and Celtic and have someone else win the league besides one of those two. And you look at Shanklin that's came in, he was Hearts captain. Dan Neil, as Paul said, was the Sunderland captain. Ben Godfrey has high experience at a high level, and obviously Pandur again was Hull's best player. He kept a clean sheet in the playoff final.
14 clean sheets.
And obviously like you got McCrory, who already knows the league. He supported Rangers. He knows what the expectations are. So I think, in terms, if I was to compare the team at the start of last season and the team now, the difference is now it seems as though we actually have more leaders in the team and more players that will push those who maybe put the head down and don't really have that mentality to stay in the winning position when they get there, to push them that little bit further to get over the line come May next year.
I totally agree. I think Rangers are in a very, very strong position. Myself, we still got a long way to go. I think. I still think the Celtic will obviously strengthen before that season kicks off on the 31st of July, which is obviously the Friday night game. But the only thing that kind of lets me down is, I know you're saying McInnes is a good manager. The latter end of last season, I felt like he let things get to him. I noticed in his press conferences, his interviews, the pressure was getting to him. You can't afford that at Rangers. The pressure got to him. He kept using like the budget thing at Celtic and Rangers. We all know, Hearts fans already know this. They've got a lower budget than Celtic and Rangers. But he kept using that, and that's something that he can't use anymore. He's a Rangers manager.
Yeah.
He's got that budget that he's talked about last season.
Yeah.
And that's something that McInnes, sometimes when he's under that wee bit of pressure, he kind of bottles it a wee bit. And that's something he needs to contain. But I get it, he's played for Rangers. He knows Rangers inside out. He knows Rangers. He knows Rangers inside out, and that's the thing. Is, I hope that wasn't my bottle of vodka there. But no, I'm not joking. But he knows the Rangers inside out. That's what I'm trying to say. We allowed bloopers, by the way. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a wee blooper. But yeah, McInnes, great appointment. I'm happy with the 5 signings. I generally, I know we'll probably keep saying this year on year on year on year. But I do think this is the year for us.
Is this going to be another? This is the year that ends up with you disappointed again. So here's the thing. So it was a good point you mentioned there about McInnes at the latter end of the season. You've seen kind of in the away form. You've seen at the start of the season up until January, it was whoever they played. It didn't matter where they were. They were on the ball. They didn't even go behind. And you've seen it a wee bit when they went behind in games. They'd go back and win it. But then the away form started to creep in. It was that lack of fight you started to see, but I don't know if that was more a lack of fight or, as McInnes liked to say, the financial divide, because he wouldn't have had that many players that he thought he could have called upon. But that's the question. How long or how many excuses can he make now at Rangers before he starts getting questions at him? Because if you know the first game, the first Celtic Rangers game, that's the argument. The argument is he needs to win that. That's what every Rangers fan will look for.
It's the same when every new manager comes in for Rangers or Celtic.
Sure.
If he doesn't have a 100% record going into that first Old Firm game, and if he doesn't win that first Old Firm game, that's when the fans will start to go, was it the right appointment? Because if he can't beat Celtic, he's not going to win the league.
And that just one final point before we move on to a couple more things to cover off. Do you see an advantage of the first game being at Parkhead, or would you rather have your final game against your rivals in the split at home? What do you prefer?
I prefer the final game at home.
Yeah.
You seen it last season. There was 2 main games. That last game, the Motherwell was actually 3. Motherwell, it was the 3 in a row, wasn't it? It was Rangers, Motherwell, Hearts. Motherwell had a great season last season. The team that were commanding stuff, that were telling the big boys, you're not just the only big boys anymore, that we are here to try and stop you. Again, you saw the fall off with them, but you also seen how good they were. Ask you a way to lose. That's the question. That's where the momentum shifted in my eyes. That game at Celtic Park, where the lights were on everyone, you still had the chance. We had to win. It was a must-win for both of us.
For me, where the momentum shifted was the game that Rangers were 2-0 up. The game Chamiki scored the overhead kick.
Yes.
Rangers were 2-0 up, and it finished 2-2. that for me was the game where I went, okay, Rangers only going to win this.
Well, I was at the game, and the thing is, how we let Celtic get back into that game was unbelievable. Like, I genuinely thought, like, 3 points are in the bag, and we came out with like a different team,
Yeah.
totally different team. But we're almost, obviously the World Cup's still going on, and people are already back at pre-season and stuff like that. Obviously the clubs are all back last week, most of them. I think they all are, might be. But we've obviously got the Premier Sports Cup coming up. This kicks off on the 11th of July. Some interesting groups I've kind of noticed. Obviously Aberdeen. Let's touch on Aberdeen. They've got Brora Rangers, Celtic Hearts, Queen of the South and Queen's Park. Aberdeen, just talking on Aberdeen, first you, Jordan. Really disappointing season last year for Aberdeen. But they've got Robinson in. Obviously came in March last season. Do you think he'll stamp his authority this season?
I think he needs to. I think if he doesn't, he won't last the season. Aberdeen were always seen as the Hearts of last season, if you will. Aberdeen were always seen as the team that would cause Rangers and Celtic problems every single season, particularly when Derek McInnes was in charge. You saw it. Rangers and Celtic always struggled. Teams always used to struggle going to Pittodrie, not just the big two. They always commanded third place finishes. They were always fighting for the European spots, and then they kind of fell away from it, and then they got Robinson in March, and he kind of tried to steady the ship a wee bit. But for me, he needs to start this season strong, because, like you said, it was disappointing for Aberdeen last season, and Aberdeen fans will not stand for another season of that.
And John, looking at the table they've got in the Premier Sports Cup, any team that really kind of sticks out to you that might be a banana skin for Aberdeen, or do you think they'll canter that?
You've seen last season with Robinson, St Mirren, won the first cup in how many years or something?
30 or
and again, beating one of the big two to do it. Not an easy feat. That's me taking my biased hat off, but not an easy feat at all. Even under the circumstances for Celtic, it was not an easy feat to go and beat them in a cup final. But I think he'll stamp his authority. I think it'll be his way or you're not playing. So his way or the highway. So I think it's not they will, but they have to kind of stamp the authority in.
And so just to finish up on that, do you see any banana skins? Do you think Aberdeen will canter that Group A?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
Where do you think the banana skin is?
Celtic Hearts.
Away. I think they're playing away at Celtic Hearts, if I remember.
I think I know they're obviously they're down a couple. I think they're in League One, Celtic Hearts.
Yeah.
But you've seen the talk that they've had and the buzz about Celtic Hearts in the last couple. I think, is it still Mark Wilson that's the manager?
No, that's Partick Thistle.
But like when Mark Wilson was down there, and when they first came up to the top four leagues, and the whole buzz was about them, everybody was like, "Oh, these guys are incredible. They've never been in the top four of the pyramid before," and they were causing the teams above them and the leagues above them problems. And I think they finished League Two unbeaten when they got promoted to League One. So for me, I think if I had to choose a team in that group that Aberdeen could potentially slip up against, it would be Celtic Hearts.
Fair enough. And looking at Group B, it's got Arbroath, Dun United, Montrose, the Spartans, and Stirling Albion. Dun United, I kind of mixed bag season. I think they're really disappointed not to get the top six. But what's a realistic kind of aim for Dun United? So they'll be hoping to get a good start in this cup competition. What's your thoughts on that Group A, John?
Well, as you said, last season I think they struggled with firepower. Obviously, 2 seasons ago they had Sam Dalby, who were just firing. I think they've lacked that this season. They need.
I think he was top scorer, was he not?
Yeah, Sam Dalby top. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they also finished in the top half that season as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they've lacked. A man with firepower. Again, in that group, maybe an Arbroath, maybe. But at the same time, they've obviously got a couple of signings in, and it'll be one of them that they want to get onto a good start. They'll want to start firing and hopefully they can actually start scoring goals this season.
We'll move on to Group C, and I'll give you this opportunity. So Cove Rangers, Dumbarton, Dunfermline, East Kilbride and St Mirren. I'm going to cover a couple of teams that I want to kind of get your thoughts on. Dunfermline, obviously we touched on Neil Lennon earlier on in the episode about him potentially being a Scotland manager. That was kind of one you mentioned off the cuff. Unbelievable season to get to a cup final. They obviously had so many games towards the end. Unlucky they got to the semi-finals of the playoffs. Neil Lennon's done a fantastic job. Dunfermline should be absolutely proud of themselves to get to a cup final where probably unexpected. They over-exceeded, I think, last season. Mm-hmm. How do you think they'll do this season? Can they get to the levels of what they've done this season just gone by? And also a second point for you to answer there, Jordan. St Mirren, they've obviously kept their caretaker manager on. I don't know what the St Mirren fans feel. It'll be interesting to hear their comments. But how do you feel that kind of group will go out of Dunfermline and St Mirren? You've got to think top two with these two.
For me, I think, obviously, I know we touched on Neil Lennon earlier, and I think having Neil Lennon in charge is massive for Dunfermline. For me, looking at that group, I know obviously St Mirren are a division above. They're in the Premiership. They've obviously kept on Craig McLeish from his time as caretaker, but I still think for me, that group is Dunfermline's. For me, I think
I agree.
After the end of that group, you'll see Dunfermline sitting at the top of that. I think St Mirren will still finish second, but I think with the way Neil Lennon had them playing, particularly towards the end of last season, obviously that cup run, obviously losing to Celtic in the final, doing themselves proud, and it gave the fans something to look forward to and something to be excited about. And I'd like to think that a lot of the Dunfermline fans will be hoping for similar. And I think that if Neil Lennon can keep his core of players the same and strengthen in areas that maybe they were weaker in towards the end of last season and need a bit more depth in, then I don't see any reason why they won't finish top of that group.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised either. I know Dunfermline have lost one of their centre-backs who was pretty solid. I think he's left to go down south, I'm sure. So that's a big blow for them. But yeah, if they can keep a hold of Neil Lennon, because he's a big name for Dunfermline, and I mean that with utmost respect. But it'll be interesting to see. I tend to agree. I think Dunfermline might actually pip St Mirren. I think that they'll have a difficult season this season, St Mirren, as well. I really do. I think they'll struggle. John, Group D, we've got Airdrie, Annan, Clyde, Dundee and Ross County. So I really want to touch on Dundee. I don't know what your thoughts were when Stephen Presley were appointed, but I was like, they're getting relegated. Last season, when Presley came in, I think he used the words in an interview saying, he said something along the lines of, we're not a bad team for being a jobby team. Do you remember that anyway? I was howling at that. But he's actually come in and done all right. He's actually bringing a lot of youth. He's got a lot of loan players from down south. He knows that he's he's been about the English game as well. He kind of managed a lot of youth teams down there. Yeah, I think he's done a really good job. Do you agree?
Yeah, he got the ball rolling again. It was one of them that even at the start, before any of that had happened, you'd have thought maybe it's not going to be the best year for Dundee, because they're always that team that teeter-totter with that bottom two, and then it's the same every season. They have that miraculous we're back stage, but Presley changed that. He gave the big two trouble. He gave us a good run for our money, I think a couple of times last season. But with that group, you'll see the other name in that group that stands out, Ross County. I do not believe they will finish second in that group. I believe Dundee will squish that group, and I think it will be Airdrie that will finish second.
Cool. And moving on to Group E, we've got Brecon, Forfar, Livingston, Partick Thistle and Stennismuir now. Partick Thistle, I think it's 5 times I've got to the final in the last 5 years, not got promoted. I worked the St Mirren game against Partick Thistle. What a fan base they've got. Absolutely unbelievable. They actually filled that St Mirren stadium up in the last final game. But Mark Wilson, who's the manager, has come in and done an extremely good job. Obviously Thistle, they have to go again. I mean, how many attempts do they have to take, Jordan, to kind of come up? Do you think, to touch on it a couple of points, do you think that they're the favourites in this Group E? And can they finally get promoted in the Championship?
I think they are favourites, yes. I mean, you could maybe argue Livingston, but for me, I think Partick Thistle were a stronger team than Livingston. I think Livingston maybe overstayed their time in the top flight by probably a season. I thought that last season Partick Thistle were unfortunate not to get up, and had it maybe been a different team other than St Mirren, they probably would have came up. But I think of the teams that you would go, should they have been promoted? Yes, they probably should have done. I would say they're favourites for that group, and they're also favourites for promotion as well. I know that obviously you look at the other teams that are in the Championship, but I still think, even though they didn't win the playoff, I wouldn't be surprised if come the end of the season, next season, that they're the ones that finish first and come up automatically.
I think the Thistle fans will be hoping for that. I think they're sick of this whole almost tag. I really do wish them the best. I think Thistle are a great run club as much as they can, great fan base. I'm sure we've all got Thistle fans in our families, but yeah, I do wish them all the best. Group F, moving on, East Kilbride, East Fife, should I say, my apologies. Morton, Inverness, Cali Thistle, Linlithgow and St Johnstone. So St Johnstone, John, have just come up from the Championship. The Partick Thistle did run them close, but then they kind of, towards the end of the season, they kind of canted it. How do you think they'll do in the build-up to this Premier Sports Cup in the next few weeks? And how do you think they'll do in the return to the Premiership?
It's always the same. You've seen Livingston come up. I think the only team that have came up and have actually done something in recent years is, funnily enough, Falkirk last season. Mm-hmm. So St Johnstone, I believe they will walk the group. I think if they do have a stumbling block, you're maybe talking Inverness, but I don't see that being a problem for them. I see it being one of them where they will have spells in the season, and I think the biggest games of the season will be against your Celtics, your Rangers, your Hearts, your Aberdeens, your Hibs. And that'll be the games where they'll try and cause an upset, but at the same time, I just don't see it. I think they'll be back down at the end of the season. And other than that, the group they'll go through, but I don't see them making it very far.
And moving on to Group G, we've got Alloa, Edinburgh, Falkirk and Stranraer. I want to touch on what you said there, John. I think Falkirk were the second best footballing side in Scotland for me last season. John McGlynn done an unbelievable job. The problem they've got is Barney Stewart is left. Remember, he went to West Brom, 3 million. Unbelievable striker last year. Caused so much problems. I think that Falkirk, under McGlynn, like I said, they played some lovely stuff. One of the best sides I saw come to Ibrox, and I'm sure you did as well at Celtic Park. Really, really good football side. Well run, good club. How do you think Falkirk will do in that group, and also to deal with one of the best strikers that was in that team last year?
I still think they'll go through pretty comfortably in the group. If you look at the other teams in the group, none of them really should cause them any. Maybe Ayr at a push, but I think the other three not really going to cause too much difficulty. Even with losing Barney Stewart, you'd still like to think Falkirk are still strong enough. And I think with finishing strong last season, even though they have lost their striker, the financial gain that they would have got finishing so high up last season will be massive for them. And I think that, coupled with John McGlynn being in charge and the players buying into the success and the support from the fans, I think they'll have enough to top the group, and I think they also have enough to potentially finish top 6 again next season.
Yep. And
I'd like to add on to that. So you mentioned it was just the Barney Stewart loss, but a name that hasn't been mentioned is Calvin Miller.
True, yeah.
That is another big loss for them. A man who would cause a lot of trouble against sides. Again, I seen it a lot last season when he was at Celtic Park. He was causing trouble for either Johnson or Alho, whoever was at right back, because we used about 4 different right backs last season. But they caused a lot of trouble. Stewart he was that big centre half who had the pace, who had a bit of a hold up play as well. And I think you can't mention Barney Stewart without mentioning Calvin Miller, because he was a big key part for them last season.
Scored some good goals as well. A couple of goal of season contenders.
Well remembered, John. I actually completely forgot about that. Well done. But yeah, that's a big loss, Calvin Miller. And just finally, Group H, Elgin City, Hamilton, Kilmarnock, Peterhead and Rafe Rovers. Neil McCann came in at Kilmarnock, obviously took Finlay Curtis. I don't know about you, Jordan, but I was raging when he went to Kilmarnock. I thought, how fucking dare Roll get rid of Curtis, because I wanted to see him in that team. But it was the best fucking move for him, because it got him in that Scotland squad in the end of the day. But we're obviously focused on Kilmarnock. Neil McCann, I don't care what you say, Kelly fans, that he wasn't the first choice. A wee bit like who we were talking about earlier on, where Presley was probably a surprise, and there was a few managers that came in last season that's probably thought, right, hold on a minute, they're up for relegation. But he came in, he knew exactly what he was doing. He came into Rangers obviously and took Curtis. He took a few other players on loan. Neil McCann done a great job, I think, towards the end of that season. I think if he came in at the start, I think Kelly would have been that top six. But obviously they had to battle and they eventually were survived. So just in relation to Group H, how do you think Neil McCann will do next season? Do you think he can? I think he's also signed. He's taken Bailey Rice on loan from Rangers, a wee bit similar to Curtis. So what do you think? How do you think Kilmarnock will do under Neil McCann? And also, what do you think of the group?
I see Kilmarnock causing trouble next season. It's not this season, should I say. You seen that last season with Tyrese John Giles up front. Was good. He was very good, just pulling his weight about, and that's one thing I've always liked about a striker, is someone who can throw their weight about, can also get forward. But as you said, obviously the signing of Finlay Curtis, he revitalised them. He was direct. He was going at people, and you didn't really see them. You didn't really see many players going at a defender. I remember, I think they had Danny Armstrong, I believe it was, who would just go at a player and go at the byline, cut it back. It's one of them that they needed. As you mentioned, Bailey Rice. I think we kind of see where this is going with Neil McCann. You can kind of start to see it a wee bit. Obviously, he's worked with him. He's worked with a couple of these players and he's
a wee backhander, you know what I mean?
And he's in the brief spell that he had with Barry Ferguson, he'd have seen a couple of youth players and thought, well, they were all right when I was there, so let's see if I can get them here. Obviously, Curtis had a couple of games that he played for Rangers and did quite well for them. I think that's one that they want for Rice. I think this is a mutual for both sides, because it can maybe get Rangers one of their youth prospects, starting more games, hopefully see if he's ready, or maybe try and make a profit. And then when it comes to the group, I think they've definitely got it. They will. I don't see them being a struggle. I can see them fighting for top six this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally agree. And also, Kilmarnock don't have the plastic pitch
this
coming season.
Right, yep.
So that's a big thing. I don't know how that will impact them, but I know that was a big advantage for Kilmarnock. So they don't have the plastic pitch. I know Livingston are the following season, I believe. I think they've got an extension.
The next season,
but that will be interesting to see how Kilmarnock deal with grass. You know, so we've obviously covered the Premier Sports Cup. Now, I know we're probably going to say Rangers and Celtic, right? Are going to. Do you honestly think the Rangers and Celtic win this cup this year, John?
I'm going to pull it a surprise. I believe we are going to see Hearts winning one of the cups this season. I think I'm even going to go further to think Hearts are going to win the Scottish Cup.
You think we'll get the double?
No, they'll win the Scottish Cup. Just the Scottish Cup.
Who do you think will win the Premier Sports Cup?
Premier Sports Cup, we're talking. I would like to see a surprise. I would.
And who would that be?
It would be Hearts. I just don't see...
So you want Hearts to win the double, essentially?
Hearts, well, not really, because the only team outside Celtic and Rangers that I think have the chance to do it would, in my eyes, be Hearts. But if I'm being blatantly honest, looking at, if this is before any signings for Celtic anyway have been made, I can see Rangers winning the Premier Sports Cup.
And it's not unheard of. If you don't have to look back very far to see a time where a team outside the Rangers and Celtic won the double. I mean, St Johnstone done it in 2021. They won the League Cup and the Scottish Cup. They beat Rangers in the Cup both times.
The goalkeeper scored, remember that?
And the goalkeeper,
Randy
Clarke scored at Ibrox, and St Johnstone would go on to win the Cup from there. So I'm inclined to agree.
Do you think Rangers,
John,
just to confirm?
I think Rangers.
Okay.
I think purely because this cup happened so early on in the season.
Yeah.
I think that gives Rangers a massive advantage. purely because of the signings they've brought in have came in early.
Yeah.
Celtic tend to
Wait till
to the last minute, and by which case it might be too late for them to really make any real impact in the cup. I still think Celtic potentially would go to the latter stages, semi-final, final, but I think Rangers will probably run out winners of the Premier Sports Cup. However, if it's not Rangers, I do think it will be Hearts.
I tend to agree. I think this cup. I don't see any of the Old Firm actually winning this. I tend to agree with you with Hearts. I think Hearts need a cup. I don't think Celtic Rangers will win this cup this season. I think it will be announced. Well, not. I don't categorise it. The question is, can Hearts maintain what they achieved this season? That is the big question.
And if they hold on to Claudio Braga, yes.
Yes, but we don't know what these. And I was going to make that point before we kind of move on to the last part of it. Analytics has obviously worked for Hearts. We don't know what these players are like. The 10 signings have done so far. They might be another Braga. They might be shite. You just don't know what you're expecting. So the thing is, it depends how quickly the 10 players obviously connect and click quickly. And that's the thing with Hearts. You don't know what you're going to get. Braga, we did not expect to be a good player. Probably he was one of the best players last season. He came from the second division in Portugal. And the thing is, that is because of analytics. So you don't know what Hearts have brought in. We don't know enough about these players. We know about Calvin Miller, of course, but we don't know much about these players that have come in. And I think Hearts are winning the Premier Sports Cup.
The flip side of that would be they've lost Shankland and Devlin. But Shankland was arguably their best striker, and Cammy Devlin was instrumental in their midfield.
I get that. Yeah.
So the flip side of that coin would be if those players come in, they have to be that level. If Hearts are going to have success, they need to be similar level to the players that have lost, Devlin, potentially Braga, Shankland, all those players that the Hearts fans would look to change a game if they were struggling.
The thing is, I brought in the manager that was Belgium Manager of the Year. So I don't care what you say. I think Belgium and Scotland are very similar when it comes to the football. I think Belgium may be a better quality, just about.
The layout of their league's incredibly confusing, though.
Yeah. But I think if Hearts have probably got a great manager, if he was Belgium's Manager of the Year. There's no doubt about it. So they must be good. He must be a good manager. But I think Hearts will win it. But guys, this wraps up the kind of discussion part. What we're going to do now is we are going to move on to the quiz side of things. It's these two. It's a promotion versus relegation. So just to explain, promotion means true and relegation means false. I will read out statements. They have 30 seconds to answer as many statements that I say, whether they think is promotion or relegation. There'll be a timer. One of them will leave the room and one of them will stay here, and then vice versa, they'll switch. So there will be 30 seconds to answer as many statements correct, and we'll see who wins. Let's take another wee break. Quiz time for Jordan. I'm going to ask you as many questions as possible. 30 seconds. Remember, promotion is true, relegation is false. Okay, let's go. Start the clock. Scotland England contest the first official international football match in 1872.
Promotion.
Scotland won the FIFA World Cup in 1982.
Relegation.
Scottish Football Association governs football in Scotland.
Promotion.
Scottish Premiership is 24 clubs.
Relegation.
Celtic FC play their home matches at Celtic Park.
Promotion.
Scottish Premiership is in top tier of the Scottish Football League.
Promotion.
Scotland has hosted a... Right, okay, I'll finish the question because I started. Scotland has hosted a FIFA World Cup finals tournament.
Relegation.
Good. Oh, John! So next up, we have John. John, you've got 30 seconds. I'm going to read out statements. Just a reminder, promotion is true and relegation is false, okay? So let's go. Start the clock. No Scottish club has ever played in a European competition. False. Dundee United FC have reached a UEFA Cup final.
Promotion.
Dundee United has never played in a European semi-final.
Relegation.
Aberdeen FC have won the European Cup Winners' Cup.
Promotion.
The Scotland's men's national team wears dark blue as a traditional home colour.
Promotion.
Scotland's traditional home colour is a bright orange.
Relegation.
Okay, let's sit down. Okay, so first off, John, how do you think you've done? Oh, you go. John, how do you think you've done?
Alright. I think I've shot the bed, mind you. But
I was pretty confident in all my answers, to be fair.
Okay, so Jordan, I can reveal you got 7.
Out of?
7 correct. So 7 correct, 7 out of
Correct.
so 7 correct in the 30 seconds. John, how many? And John, you got 6.
Yes!
So Jordan has won the match, 1-0 to Jordan. Thank you guys. So just really wanted to kind of touch on the socials. Please continue to like and follow on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also YouTube. Make sure you hit the notification button to get notification on YouTube. We will get the links underneath this podcast, this episode, like we always do. Thank you very much for the support. It's been amazing the last few weeks. We've only done it for 3 weeks since we started it. It has been amazing. I thank you very much for all the follows that you've done. Hopefully we'll get more content. We'll try and continue to get guests on this. I'm looking to continue that. But listen, thank you very much, guys. Any final words for you guys?
I think I only answers 6 questions. I genuinely think I only answers.
It's okay, John. There's always next week.
Yeah, I was just a bit slow. But no, thank you for having me on. Hopefully, hopefully, you know, I'll hopefully be a mainstay maybe, but I don't know.
After that Naismith comment, I don't know.
Final comments, John?
No, I mean, it was great. Good first episode, I thought, for me personally.
Good stuff.
Hopefully be back.
No worries. Guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Take care. Have a good one.
Wall down to Hampton Road. Every ground's got tales untold. We can talk in Monday calls. 90 plus says it all. 90 plus, we're calling it straight. Every match, every talking debate. From the stands to the final whistle. This is football, pure and simple. Big decisions, late kickoffs.